Welcome once more to our YouTube channel, Professional Integrated Advanced Finance Management App. This app is a dynamic app that controls the finances of a ministry. A main ministry can use this app to control the finances of the sub-ministry under its control. We'll begin by looking at the login. For a user or for a user which is a main ministry or main institution or main business center has to log in with his or her user password. After logging in, he or she shall be directed to the main page. Under the main page, we are going to look at the profile tab, we look at the church tab, we look at the finance tab, and also look at the setting and exit. In the profile tab, here the church or the main church fills the information that, or let's say the letterhead of the main church that will run through all the sub churches that will be created, as we shall see as we proceed in the explanation of this advanced finance management system. You have the churches. Here you add a new sub-church under the main church. You can see all the churches. You can see the churches details. You also go to the finances. Here you can add an expenses under a particular church or a sub-church under the main church. You can add the finances. You can see the expenses history. You can see the expenses history report. You can see the expenses report. You can see the finance analysis report. You can see the finance history report. You can see the finance report. You can see the finance history. You can see the global expenses report. You can see the global expenses statistics. You can also see the global finance report and the global finance statistics. Under the setting, you will see how you can add a new city, or you can set the system by adding a new city, add locality, you add the region, you add a street, you add, or you see all the reports that has been created, or you can create a new user that will be using this system. Let's go back to the logout page. To go back to the login page, you just click on the arrow and then click on login. If a user forgets his or her password, the user is required to click on the forget password, in which he or she will be directed to a page where he will be able to recover his or her lost password. By clicking, automatically a page will open where the user enters his user ID, then will fill out the information as it is being asked. This information are the information when the user was initially registered, the user filled or provided answers to the initial question. So the user is just required to fill in the information as he did when he was logging into the system or when he was first being registered. After the user has provided the response to the questions, on clicking on show password, a small dialog box will open that the user will see the password, the recover password, in which he will go back to the login page and re-log in to the system. So after providing the login criteria, the login page or the main page will open. So we start by looking at how to set the system up, because to use the system you have to program the system. Now let's program this system. You click on the setting, then here we add a city. Let's say a new sub-church is to be created in a location. So here you add a city in a city, so you add the city name. Then you add the region. Let's say you have added the region. Then you go now to add the location in that city. Where is that church going to be found in that city? So you put the city name. Let's see, Ideal. So let's say it will be found in Quartier Ideal or Carrefour Ideal, in the location that was, or in the location where the new church, or the city where the new church is supposed to be created. So now you also go to add the region. In which of the region is that city found? So you see Southwest. Since Southwest is already there, you can still increase. If there are so many regions in the country, you just list all the regions, or a better still, you can just list all the localities, or say quartiers, or better still, you set the system by listing all the cities in that country. Then you can also add all the streets in that country. Add all the streets in that country. Then you can also, after adding the cities, localities, region, street, you can now say you want to register a new user. So you just click on the user panel. The user panel page will open where you register a new user. So after registering a new user, you might want to print out all the report, but before coming to see all the report, let's look at the profile. So after entering the setting information, you might want to put the main name now of the main church that is going to run throughout the entire churches. So you go to church profile. On the profile tab, you click, then you can enter the name of the main church. You have the institute name, which is a church name. You have the owner's name or the general overseer's name. You have the contact, the email, the website, the reference number to permit them to operate the mission. Okay, so after filling that, it is setting that is going to run through the other system. Let's look at churches tab. On clicking on churches tab, you go to add a new church. When you click on add a new church, the add a new church page will open where you can navigate to a new page. Then you can register a new church. You can put the church name. You can say Douala. Then you can put the region Southwest. You can put the region IT or the city IT, say Douala. Then you can put the locality. Then you can put the streets. So after filling that, you just enter the pastor's name. So it could still be, say, a prayer cell. There are so many prayer cells which has been registered. You could create it as a single church. You can still register it as a church in which its own finances will be controlled. So you then enter the pastor's contact. The pastor's contact, then you click save, and it has been added. So after entering the necessary information, you are required to maybe if you are required to enter a new church, you just need to go to the new tab, then you fill in the information of the new church. You fill in the information of the new church. Okay, after entering a new church, you might want to see all the churches that has been registered under the main church. You go to all churches. Here you can see all the names of the churches and their various information. Then you can as well again see all the churches detail in a report where you can at the end print out. So that is it for registering a new church under the main church. We go to the finances. We looked at first by adding a finance. Let's add a finance. Okay, when you click on add a finance, the finance page will open where you click on the date. You add the date, then you also click on the month, you put the year, then you put the name of the person filling in the information, or the church. Under the church filling the information, then you enter the church name again down. Automatically some of the information will just pops out, like the church name, like the locality and the street and the pastor's name. Then you have to select the church service, the church day. Is it the Sunday service, Monday service, Tuesday service, Wednesday service, and so on? And you can see increase the list by clicking on this edit list and then add more of the list of the service that might have been held. So after selecting a service, you select the finance type. Is it offering? Is it tithe, seed, first fruit, beginning of year, end of month seed, beginning of year seed, end of year seed? Or you can see increase the list. Then you select one of the offering. Let's say offering. Then you put the amount that was collected for the offering for that Sunday. To increase the list again for that, still that same church. Remember, you look at the same item and the same name. Then you select the next. It's still for that Sunday service. Then you still select, is it now tithe? You put the amount that was collected for the tithe. Then you still select again until you fill all the finances of that particular day under that particular church or particular sub-church. So it's seats, you put the seats, how much was collected for seats. So that is it. So that is how you can increase and until you fill out all the finances that took place in that particular church on that particular day. That is how you fill it. Then you click save. That is it. So now we also look at maybe in the course of the week the church might incur some expenses. Might maybe say they want to buy like the band, or buy like the guitar, or buy any instrument or anything to use some financing in the institute or like in the church. So you just need to come now and add expenses. So the page will open. You have to just fill it as if you want to fill in for, you enter the year, fill the finance, enter the year. When you want to fill and you want to enter the expenses, it's just like entering the finance. So you also select the church, automatically name appears. Then you put the expenses, the amount that is going to be used. Then you put the reason for that amount. Let's just say to buy chairs. So that is it. You can still increase the list on this particular church. And if you want to also enter expenses for another church, you go to a new page, then you enter for the new church. After entering the information, you might want to see the expenses history. So here you see all the expenses history, the name of the churches and how much they have used so far and the reason why they use the amount. Then you can also see let's say the the finance history. Also look at the finance history. So you look at the finance history. This is the finance history of all the churches, of most of the churches that has been keyed in. You look at how much has entered. Then you also look at the expenses history, which we have already seen. You look at the expenses history report. So this is the expenses history now report. It gives you now the global, it sums the global expenditure. It brings the expenditures together according to the different sub churches. So this is the global expenses that can be printed out. So you also look at the finance history report. Let's look. This is a finance history report which you can also see and printed out. The finances as per church. So this is how it looks like. You can print it out that correspond to the particular church, a subgroup under the names of all the amount that has entered, the days under the particular church can be seen or printed out, the finance history. So far we have looked at adding expenses, we have looked at adding finances, we have also looked at the expenses history, we have looked at the expenses history report, also looked at the expenses report. This is the expenses report now. This is a report now which can be also be printed out and maybe kept and presented to their authority necessary. This is the expenses report. Then we'll also look at the finance analysis report. After all the transaction, you can now want to say, okay, how much is left in the general coffers in the main church after gathering all the finances in all the sub churches. You have it here. You get the total amount that has been spent in all the sub churches. Then you have the balance that is left in the coffers. So this is the total amount that has been collected in all the churches, and this expenditure, then we have the balance which is left in the coffers. So you can also see the finance history. This is the finance history that can be printed out. You can also see the finance report. This is a finance report that can be printed out. You can also see the finance history. This is a finance history as we already saw. Now you can see the global expenses report. This is a global expenses report that will also be per church. So it's under it's per church. Then you also have the global expenses statistics. It's different from the report. So this is the statistics, and you have the report that you can print it out from the statistics. So you also have the global finance report. This is it per church, which can also be printed out. You also have the global finance statistics. So this is after entering all the finances, both finances, income, and maybe the expenses. Then you can access the other reports. So that is it for the finances. We have looked at the profile, we have looked at the churches, adding churches, we have looked at adding finances, income, and also adding expenses, and their various statistics, their various histories. Now you look at all reports. So on clicking on all reports, will be directed to this new page where here you can either select one of them. You must select one of them. If it's church detail, you can preview, you can open it. Just to open, you can print the selected report, you can export the selected report, or you can email the selected report. So let's just open church details. When you click, you have the church details. These are the names of all the churches that has been created under the ministry. So you can also look at the expenses history report. So here, this is the expenses history report that can be printed out to see the expenses that has been incurred in the different churches. You can see the expenses report again. So the other was the expenses history. This is the expenses report per day of expenses. This is now the finance analysis report that gives the total rundown of the finances as a global sum. So here we have the sum of the finances in all the churches, you have the sum of the expenses of all the churches, and you have the balance of the finances in the coffers. Then you also have the finance report. This is a finance report that can be printed out. You have the finance. This is a finance report. Rather, this was the finance history report that can be printed out, the history report, and this is a finance report per day of entering, of finance. Now you have the global expenses report. This is a global expenses report per church. It sums all the money of a particular church. Then you have the global finance report. This is a global expenses report, and you also have the global finance report. And after entering all the information you want to exit, is just to click exit, then you take yes, and the system will be exited. Thanks for watching. Hope this video was interesting. And if you run a church or you run a business center that has so many branches, you want to control the finances, just make sure you order for this copy, and make sure you also log in or subscribe to my YouTube channel to have more interesting videos. Thanks for watching, and make sure you leave a comment and you make a command.